Alrighty friends, so I am at atlasportal.org. I'm on the Students and Family tab. So if you go to atlasportal.org and then click on Students and Families, it's going to take you right here. I'm going to scroll down where it says Practice and Training Tests, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this. This is going to show you exactly what your secure browser app looks like, that app that's downloaded on your computer that you'll access on test day. This looks like the exact same login screen. There are a couple different options here that you won't see in the secure browser, but if you're familiar with this and you take some time practice testing, this is going to be exactly the same on test day, especially once we get into those test questions and start looking at those. You can see that there's a couple things here. We're on the practice test, or the practice test site, and it automatically is toggled here, but just know if you accidentally click on that and switch it over here, it's not going to let you do what I'm about to show you to do. So just make sure that you're toggled to this switch to practice test site. And then we're going to scroll down. You can sign in. I think it'll still let you access the practice test, but there's no reason to do that right now. If you're practicing on your own, we're just going to leave it as practice test site and click continue as guest. You do not need a session because you're not doing this with a teacher. They're not hosting a session. So you're just going to come over here where it says guest session and click on that. As you scroll here, you may have to scroll up and down. I'm zoomed out enough that I don't, but you might have to scroll down on your screen to get here. But I'm looking where it says select your test that you need to take and the student grade level. So the first thing you're going to do is choose your grade level. I'm going to choose 8th grade. And then you're going to scroll down and you're going to see these colorful buttons. The first one, this blue one, this is the only one that we care about for practice testing for the Atlas test. It's this ELA Math and Science. So you take reading and writing for ELA and then math and science, and they're all right here on this blue button. So I'm going to go ahead and click that blue button. And then I can see all of the 8th grade tests available for those subjects. So here's my ELA. So just like I had to click on that blue button to get here, and I have 2 tests for ELA, you'll have to click on that ELA to get to both of your tests. But they'll both be under ELA for reading and writing. Scrolling down, math has several of them because some of our math students are in 8th grade math and some of our math students in 8th grade choose to take advanced courses in like algebra or geometry. So you're going to click on whichever one of these that you're enrolled in. Most students are going to choose this button for 8th graders. But if you're in algebra or if you're in geometry, you'll choose one of those others. Scrolling down, and then the science is the same thing. Most of our students are going to just choose this one. Most middle school students are going to choose this one, but if you are in an advanced science class, you might check with your teacher, check with your science teacher, but this is probably, if you're in an advanced course, the one you would choose. But again, most of our friends are going to choose this one. So I'm going to look at the ELA test as my example. So I'm going to look at this 8th grade ELA test. And this screen is the same screen you'll get on test day. This is in the secure browser, and you'll have to have a chance to look at these questions. You may not have all of these options though, but you will get to see these. And if you don't, it just means none of these were turned on, and that's not a big deal either, where they were just turned on in the background and you don't get to toggle them. But you're just going to scroll down and go ahead and click select. So now I'm going to scroll down here. You'll have to click and listen to this video before you'll get the pop-up for I could play it. Make sure you could hear it, because if you cannot hear this, you're not going to be able to hear the screen reader, and you do have a text-to-speech on some of these tests. So just be aware of that. You want to make sure that you can hear that, then you'll click I could play. Scroll down, begin test now. So I'm in the test now. You can see at the top that I am 0% of the way through the test. That means I've just started. I'm on the first question. I can click where it says items, and I can see all of the questions that are available. So you can see that right now I can go from question 1 to question 2 through 9. So this practice test for reading that we're looking at, it has 9 questions. Just know that on test day, you may not be able to navigate forward. You may only be able to navigate backwards. So just be aware of that, which is one of the reasons it's really important that you always do your best on each question, because depending on your answer, the next question is going to be different. So if you're guessing just to go through and then going to go back and redo those questions, absolutely great practice to go back. That's a good testing strategy, but you may not get the same scores you would have gotten if you slowed down and took each one of these questions one at a time. Because if I answer number 1 wrong, it's going to give me a different kind of question than if I answered it right. And I can't change that. I can go back and look at those questions, but then if I go back after I've done question 2, it's not going to change what question I got. So just be aware of that. We always want to do our best as we're going through, and then go back and check our work. You have these next and back buttons. These will let you navigate through the questions. Again, you might not be able to go next if you haven't already done that question. So just be aware you may only be able to go backwards and then only go back forwards to the most current question or the most recent question you'd answered. You can save your progress. Looking over here at the right, we've got a system setting button. You'll have this as well because it will let you change some things. So you may have a button that looks like that, that you can click on to change like your zooms. But that's over here. And then the other thing we're going to look at just in terms of navigating the test is you can see that I can click here as well to go through my questions. So I have a couple different ways to get to the next question or to navigate. So let's look at the question first. And we're not actually going to read the question. We're not going to do any of those test taking strategies because all I'm looking at with you is how to navigate the test. So you can see on the left and on the right, they're kind of separated and split, and then I have these 2 little arrows that'll let me focus on one side or the other. So if you're working off a laptop screen and that screen can feel a little small sometimes, make sure that you're paying attention to these tools because it'll let you kind of get that bigger, make that bigger, get you zoomed in a little closer to be able to see things more comfortably. So that's what these 2 little arrow buttons do. And then this question doesn't have an example of it, but this one does. You can see that I've got a scroll on the left that scrolls just the left side, and I have a scroll on the right that'll scroll just the right side. So just make sure that as you're working through your tests that you're paying attention to see if you can scroll up and down to make sure that you don't miss anything. You can see these scroll independently of each other. The next thing I want to look at with you is your screen reader. Not all tests are available for that, but you will have a screen reader on your math, your science, and your writing tests, which means you can come in here and highlight a section of the test and right-click on it. And when you're in the Secure Test app on test day, once you've highlighted a section and you right-click on it, it'll read it to you. You don't have that option in here in the practice test. The practice test is really just to give you an idea of what these questions look like. But just be aware on those tests you will have a screen reader, a text-to-speech. So if you highlight a section and right-click, you'll get an option for it to read it to you. It does it the same thing on the question, the answer options. So that's navigating the test. I do encourage that every student comes in here into this practice test and looks through it and reads questions and especially pays attention to like, how do I use those tools? If you do have questions and if you are concerned about anything for those test taking tools, please reach out to your homeroom teachers so that they can get you some support. Thanks.